Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the FeiyuTech AK4500. Now this is a brand new gimbal. In fact, it has not been officially released yet. It was first showed off by Feiyu back in mid-April, or the beginning of April, I should say, but I still don't know what the street price will be. I don't know if this is going to be $700 US, $800 US, or possibly less, but I would guesstimate somewhere in that vicinity. And I have already removed the retail packaging. I will show that to you quickly right now. It was for the sake of convenience, but that's what the retail packaging looks like. You can see the AK4500 branding. This is the standard kit, and you can already see the orientation is favoring the low angle hold, essentially. So no longer is it, strictly a gimbal that has to be held upright, which is going to give you more versatility and flexibility in the way that you use the gimbal. And we're going to start off with the accessory kit right here, which you can see, and again, this I assume is going to come with the standard kit because it is labeled, and this was inside the box. The follow focus motor as well as the additional grip. Now the additional grip is what's really unique, because the follow focus is something that you've seen with other gimbals before. It's not a new concept in any way, shape, or form. However, what they're calling the Hyperlink remote control is unique because it's not just another handle that allows you to hold the gimbal in a low position, and also has a full set of controls on it. It also acts sort of like a magic remote, if you will, that when you move your hand remotely, when it's detached from the AK4500, it will actually control the gimbal's movements. So it's basically a remote control for the gimbal that's standalone. So if you're working in a two-person operation where one person is holding the gimbal and the other one is actually controlling the gimbal itself, its movement, this is a great accessory, and to my knowledge, there is no other gimbal on the market right now that can do this. So let's go ahead and pop this open. See how simple it is for me to do that. Oh, look at this. I found the tabs on the first try. And that looks like that's everything in there. There's also the versatile arm. And Feiyu did furnish me with this for review purposes. In fact, I didn't even know it was coming. It just showed up at my door. It was like, a little bit of Chrismica. So paperwork for the Hyperlink remote control, and there it is. So the Hyperlink, as I mentioned, this is a complete standalone controller for the gimbal that essentially will let you do everything that you could on body on the gimbal, but remotely. So I'm not sure why this wasn't thought of sooner. It's pretty brilliant. It'll be interesting to see support for Sony cameras. Anyone who subscribes to my channel knows that's what I'm going to be after. In the little bit that I've read and seen about the AK4500, it does claim to have the ability to control Sony cameras, so I'm really hoping that it does. And by control, I mean that I'm going to actually be able to shoot using the gimbal and not have incompatibility like I do with my Ronin S. So beyond that, let's see what else we have. This looks like a Type-C cable right here. This appears to be it looks like a wrench, but it's not. It's actually for holding the controller, I believe, which is what I just showed you on the back of the box. And then this is your follow focus motor, which of course mounts on the gimbal and essentially, if you didn't know already, is going to align with your lens of choice and then allow you to control the focus, which is becoming fairly standard. I think this is generally about a $100 additional accessory with other manufacturers. So it's going to be interesting to see how Feiyu prices this all out. And I'm not sure what this cylinder is. I'm not going to make a guess. Don't worry, I'm going to be using all of this because this, it's basically, in my opinion, very much like the AK4000 and AK2000, but it's got the polish, the extra, it has pushed the envelope where the AK4000 didn't. So there's our connection cable, but let's get into, and there's also an Allen key in here as well. Let's get into the gimbal itself. Let me put the I'm going to keep calling it the magic remote, like as if it's a Wii controller, back in here, because that is literally how it works. It's like you just move your hand around and the gimbal emulates what you're doing. So let's get into the gimbal itself. And I also have the AK4000 right here because one of the things I know right out of the box is that life has become simpler when it comes to balancing. And I know that's one of the biggest hurdles with gimbals. So the first thing you'll notice, we're working with the same battery type that the AK4000 before it and AK2000 work with. So if you already own these, you have the working batteries. I can see they've included, let's see, what do we have here? So this is micro USB. It looks like this one is a mini USB, and then a USB 3.0. So they're really covering all of the different connection ports possible. Now, at first glance, this looks a lot like the AK4000 and 2000. But if you haven't noticed, instead of using traditional screw type fittings, there are actual locks. So right here, you see we have a lock. Even on the actual plate for mounting, we now have a locking system, quick release. These are things that did not exist on the AK2000 or 4000. Also, something I did not mention at the top, which I should have, the payload capacity on this thing is insane. So we were looking at, with the AK4000, a payload capacity of, I believe, 4 kilograms. Here, I think it's 4.6, so they're actually up to 10 pounds. So this little baby right here isn't such a little baby. I mean, the fact of the matter is that you can actually put just about any camera and lens pairing that your heart desires on this. It has the same touchscreen interface, same control dial over here in the center that I'm touching right now, your power button, still and video capture buttons. We also have, of course, the trigger on the reverse side. This, of course, can control your actual screen or the gimbal itself. I mean, they've really taken this up a notch. Build quality just seems like it's even beefier. You can see the camera control ports, if I can bring them into focus properly, right here, as well as on the side. So it's just a matter of Feiyu really paying attention to what they have to do to differentiate and take it to the next step, next level. They have also changed the tripod that was included, and I guess this is based on customer feedback. This looks a lot like the one that is included with the Ronin S, and quite frankly, I think it is a nicer fit and finish than what they provided with the AK2 and 4000, because that one is metal and it looks cool, but it's impractical to actually hold. And then, of course, you have your carbon fiber extension rod, so that if you want to make this longer, you can. So you really have the versatility of using this gimbal in any way that you want. And as I've mentioned, to boot, with the accessory kit, it now transforms into, transitioning very easily to low angle shots and being able to create that inception spin without any issue whatsoever. So I would say this is, even though I don't know the pricing yet, this is probably going to be the most gimbal for your dollar that you're going to be able to get. And then we have some fittings here, which are going to all be, it appears they're all going to be for mounting and balancing. But the balancing act, and I'm not trying to be cute, as I've mentioned, because they've gone to locking mechanisms, has definitely been made simpler. And I'm going to show you that right now, because what I'm going to do, keep this image in your head. You should be able to. You're staring right at it, right? I'm going to pop open the AK4000. So just remember, look at the actual gimbal itself. As I put this down without doing anything wild. And if you look at the AK4000 here, okay, very, very similar. But the first thing you should notice is that, as I mentioned earlier, you can see right here we have an actual lock switch. Now, that doesn't exist over here. And that is going to make balancing inherently easier. We don't have the same range of connectivity on ports with the AK4000 for camera control and the follow focus. It's just not there. And the actual mounting plate, that is another thing, as I mentioned, that they've just improved and tweaked every piece of this design. So at face value, what does the AK4500 appear to deliver? Well, the payload, you already know, has gone up to 10 pounds from a little bit over 8. We now have an included follow focus. Trying to put away the AK4000 as I tell you this. We also have, in my opinion, a much better tripod than this. This is the one that came with the AK4000, which had an interesting, cool look, but not really the most practical to hold in your hand. And we've retained the same great battery life. We've moved away from this quick release plate to this one, which is actually ready to go because you can actually pop that on and off. So in terms of seamlessness, they've really addressed making this as turnkey as physically possible. And then in terms of compatibility, everything that I've read seems to support the fact that this is going to actually work with pretty much any camera, whether you're a Nikon, Canon, Sony, Panasonic user, it should accommodate that. And of course, it has the action mode, this, smooth mode, time lapse, all of those things are there. And then now with this thrown into the mix, we have something where they've combined all of the best features you could possibly want and thrown a remote control into the mix that you just simply can't find with any other manufacturer on the market. So again, very excited that the AK4500 appeared at my door. It was a surprise. So I'll be getting this thing to use as soon as possible, and I will be comparing it, of course, to its sibling, the AK4000 that I just brought out, as well as the Ronin S, which is still by many considered to be the best overall gimbal on the block, but I think you're looking at it right here. I think the AK4500 sets a new standard for all manufacturers in the business, especially since I know Feiyu is going to be aggressive and competitive on pricing. So I like what I see here. This is, in my opinion, the most feature-rich gimbal on the market, even though it's not on the market yet. I expect you're going to be seeing some retail pricing soon and a launch date. And of course, if I get any of that information, I will pass it along. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.